We are in Canto number 3, chapter number 8, verses 11 and 12. This is the astonishing creation by the Supreme Lord. And we're going to look at the gigantic universal form, this Virat Roop, or the massive form that is shown as representative of the universe. Atha tasya bitaptasya katidhyayatananiha nirabhidyanta devanam tani me gadata shrinu. Maitreya said, "You may now hear from me how the Supreme Lord separated himself into the diverse forms of the demigods after the manifestation of the gigantic universal form." Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The demigods are separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, as are all other living entities. The only difference between the demigods and the ordinary living entities is that when the living entities are rich in pious acts of devotional service to the Lord, and when their desire to lord it over material energy has vanished, they are promoted to the posts of demigods, who are entrusted by the Lord with executing the management of the universal affairs. So it's interesting how the demigods are given their empowerment when their desire to control is diminished or banished. It's interesting. We'll do the next verse as well, verse number 12. Tasyagni rasyam nirbhinnam lokapalo vishatpadam vacha swamshena vaktavyam yayaso pratipadyate. Agni, or heat, separated from his mouth, and all the directors of material affairs entered into it in their respective positions. By that energy, the living entity expresses himself in words. Purport. The mouth of the gigantic universal form of the Lord is the source of the speaking power. The director of the fire element is the controlling deity, or the Adhideva. The speeches delivered are Adhyatma, or bodily functions. And the subject matter of the speeches is material productions, or the Adhibhuta principle. The purports end here. We'll recite the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today we're talking about how Maitreya is explaining the universal form of the Lord. And embedded within that idea is how the creation is created and what is the purpose of creation. The bottom line is this, and this is for us to keep in mind, that the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes. You've heard this a million times. But we have to really understand there's nothing that is happening, that is moving, that is separate or independent from Krishna. He is the cause, of every movement, of everything in existence. He alone is the resting place of all living entities. We all, even as we sit here, we think we are independent of each other, independent of creation, but we're not. We are all resting within Krishna right now. The elements of this universe rest within him, and he alone is a supreme shelter. So today we're discussing these verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describe how the Lord, in his form as the universal person, Virat Rupa, manifests the cosmic creation. These verses teach us how everything in the universe has a divine purpose. And ultimately, all creation is meant to support devotional service to Lord Krishna. Now, while these verses outline the systematic arrangement of the material world, we must remember that the real significance is to help us transcend this temporary creation and engage in bhakti, devotional service. That's the whole point of this discussion. That's the whole point of highlighting the way the Lord creates. And that's the whole point of the Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, he considered Srimad Bhagavatam, this Bhagavatam project, to be his life's mission. He worked very hard for it. He put so much time, so much energy into this initiative. He sacrificed his sleeping hours for our benefit. How much are we willing to sacrifice our sleeping hours just to wake up in time to do japa? He was traveling. Anybody would have been jet lagged and worn out, but no, he was traveling around the world every few days, just getting on a plane every now and then, and yet he would hardly sleep because at night he would translate Bhagavatam. What is the point of that? It's for our benefit that we may understand Krishna through the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is nothing in this book, Srimad Bhagavatam, that is unnecessary. Every word is necessary. All the pages contain powerful points that ultimately deepen our understanding of Krishna and raise our devotional service in the heart and in our practice in our life. This Bhagavatam is the pure scripture that gives us that gift, and Prabhupada has given this to us. So it is very important that we listen very carefully, we study it very deeply, and repeatedly, not just read it, but study it. Study it means what? Like lawyer studies the law books. The lawyers know the law books inside out, backward, forward, and they can use it to explain things and to make a point and defend a particular position. That's how much we should all be committed to learn what Srila Prabhupada has written for us. All these powerful points. So today's discussion, we are looking at verses 11 and 12, but we can summarize from the beginning of this chapter. I think it's 3:6. So the cosmic manifestation is the Lord's body. These verses, they describe how the different parts of the universe correspond to different limbs of the Virat Purusha, universal form of the Lord. This cosmic manifestation, the cosmos, is not random. Not something just happened randomly by flukes. No. It is the Lord's divine manifestation. designed, it's designed, very minute level, for the souls to evolve spiritually. See, while also giving us some free will and also giving us a place to pretend that we are, something great and we can be selfishly enjoying. And the Lord has given us this just so we can play our little game. But the point of arranging it also is that it also uplifts us if we want to turn to Him, and gives us many opportunities to go back home, back to God. So in the first 5 verses, we see how the creation is systematically arranged and the material elements combine to form the universal body of the Lord. Just as a body has different limbs that function in harmony, the universe has various divisions, all working under the divine supervision of Krishna. And then from 6 to 10, we talk about the elements, the sky, air, fire, water, earth. They emerge from their positions. These are not impersonal forces, but part of the divine will of Krishna, who sets everything in motion. So even today, you saw that there is a personality of fire, Agni. Fire is not just an impersonal force, it's a person. So everything about Lord's creation, everything about the Lord is primarily personal. Although He has impersonal aspects, like the effulgence coming from His body is impersonal. But the Lord Himself is a person. The source is a person. The ultimate highest truth is a person. So similarly, even the various apparently impersonal elements like fire and so on, behind them is a person who has been specifically empowered by Krishna. The key lesson here is that everything from the planets, the universes, to our bodies, you look at our own bodies, the way it's microscopically working, molecular biology, it's amazing. Everything is arranged and designed by Krishna. Mind-blowing. And if you look at the intricacy of it, it makes sense. There's no way this is not designed by a higher intelligence. Everything is designed by Krishna. Everything is arranged by Krishna. But all this manifestation is temporary. The manifestation is temporary, our bodies are temporary, but we, the spirit soul, are eternal. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Why am I even here in the temporary world when I myself am not temporary? I have a desire to live eternally. That desire is a reflection of our actual eternal nature, our fundamental eternal nature, which is we are eternal and we are living. We'll always live. So our real purpose is not to get entangled in this material creation, but to use it as a stepping stone toward devotion to Krishna. Now, the verse today, we talk about the demigods, like the demigod Agni and the other various demigods. The demigods, they operate, of course, under Krishna in a structured system. You got departmental head like Indra. Indra is in charge of rain and thunder. You have Varunas in charge of different water bodies like oceans and lakes and rivers and so on. You have Agni, which is mentioned in today's verse, is the fire. We have Vayu, which is the air and moves around. We have Chandra. Chandra is in charge of the moon and the plants. Chandra, even though the moon is over there, the plants get the energy from the moon. Both the sun and moon provide plants the energy. So just like government, right? Government runs efficiently with ministers and so on. The universe is maintained by demigods following the Lord's plan. Now, because of this empowerment, sometimes people decide, hey, why should we worship Krishna? You worship the demigods because I'm into a particular kind of, like I'll worship Lakshmi over here. See, Lakshmi, she's going to give me a pot of gold. And so I just worship Lakshmi. Nothing wrong with worshiping Lakshmi. Yeah, but I don't worship Narayan. You see, Narayan's not giving me anything. I don't worship Krishna. So that is not good. You should recognize that when you worship Lakshmi, you have to worship Narayan. And any other demigod, we have to acknowledge and recognize that they are not independent of Krishna. Everybody comes from Krishna, and it's best to just worship Krishna directly. So the position of the demigods and the position of Supreme Lord needs to be understood so clearly. And that does get clouded when we are no longer motivated by transcendence, when we become selfish, trying to enjoy matter, and we see, oh, the people in charge of this matter, these are demigods, let me worship them, or let me try to bribe them or something. So it is important for devotees to understand what the scriptures teach on this subject. What is the position of demigods and the position of Supreme Lord, who is the source of all the demigods? So in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many, many references that highlight these key points, very key points. So I've just kind of summarized them on this one slide here. Point number 1, all demigods derive their power from Krishna. This point is supported in Bhagavad Gita 7:22 and in Srimad Bhagavatam 2:5, 11 and 12. So in Prabhupada's purport of 7:22, Prabhupada says the demigods cannot, like Krishna says in the verse, endowed with such faith, he endeavors, the worshipper of a demigod, endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. And Prabhupada explains, he says the demigods cannot bestow any benediction without the permission of the Supreme Lord. They need permission even from him to give something. The foolish person does not know this. He therefore, out of an unsophisticated intelligence, thinks that the demigods are independent. Point number 2. It's important to remember, worshipping demigods is indirect worship of Krishna, but it is improper. It's not the way to do it. Krishna says, Ye pyanya devata bhakta. It's this verse, right? 9:23. Yajante shraddhayanvita. Tebi mam eva kaunteya. Yajanti avidhi purvakam. They're doing it improperly. Those are worshipping these demigods. They're worshipping me indirectly, but they're doing it in the wrong way. This is not the way to do it. Just like a person who's bribing a government official. He's acknowledging the power of the government. That's why he's bribing him. So that acknowledgement of the power is good. Yes, I accept your power. But to bribe an official, that is not the right way to do it. There's not a right way to acknowledge. The right way to acknowledge is to stand in line and apply properly to the proper system. So, avidhi purvakam. Krishna is saying, don't do it this way. Yeah, I know you're doing it. It's not the way to worship me. Point number 3. Demigod worship leads only to temporary results, whereas Krishna's worship leads to liberation. See, this is verse 9:25 in Bhagavad Gita. Very famous verse. And those who worship demigods will take birth among demigods. Worship ancestors, go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. But those who worship me will come and live with me. They get liberation. Right? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that demigods such as Indra, Chandra, Surya are subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and they can only offer material benefits within the universe. A devotee of Krishna attains a supreme eternal abode. So these demigods can offer liberation, really. They cannot. They themselves are stuck here. And point number 4, now you may think, well, the demigods feel bad when we worship Krishna, we leave their worship and start worshiping Krishna. No. Not only do they not feel bad, they're finally satisfied. Yes, you understood. You see. It says a demigod, all demigods are satisfied when Krishna is worshipped. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 4:31-14. It says, Yatha taror mula nishchanena. Prabhupada used to quote this verse a lot, that as by watering the root of a tree, all the branches and leaves are nourished. Skanda bhujopashakha. Right? Skanda, the roots. Bhuja means the branches. And upashaka, even the twigs and all the little leaves and everything like that. They're nourished. So just by supplying food to the stomach, the whole body is satisfied. So by worshipping the Supreme Lord, all the demigods are automatically satisfied. Even demigods like Lord Shiva, who's the greatest of all the demigods, acknowledge that Krishna is the supreme authority. This is in 1089-58. In this is the 10th canto. Lord Shiva says, my dear Lord Krishna, Devaki Nandana, whatever power I have, it is simply by your grace. People foolishly think I am independent, but I am simply carrying out your will. Prabhupada's purport highlights that Shiva is confirming that no demigod has independent power. Krishna alone is the supreme source of all energies. Now, those of us who don't come from an Indian background, sometimes we wonder, do we need to worry too much about demigods? Because, generally, if we come from an Indian background, this demigod worship can be very prominent, depending on what family tradition you are in, especially among Hinduism. But among non-Hindu religious backgrounds, this is not such a big problem, generally speaking. Generally, the acceptance of one God who controls everything, universe, is understood very clearly. But sometimes, even there might be some doubts that is that one God really all-powerful? Are there other beings who are also very powerful? But the fact that we can learn from here is that there's no other being who's more powerful. There are beings who are empowered by Krishna, but who are fully under his control. And you look at other cultures also, like if you look at the Egyptian culture of the many, many gods, it's very similar to the demigods we see in the Vedas. Egyptian demigods are there, Roman gods are there, Norse gods are there, from Norway, that area. The Greek ones are there. Like that, there's so many different cultures, but you see many, many parallels are there. You see God of this and God of that and God of fire and God of thunder. Almost some of them have even very similar stories. It's almost like they're getting some inspiration from the same book. So because this is actuality, in actual reality, these demigods do exist. They do exist. So, and sometimes they've manifested themselves long back when there was a time, different yugas, when the demigods used to mingle freely with the humans. Nowadays they don't, because Kali Yuga, so you don't see them. But back then they were seen every now and then coming in and intermingling with humans. And so these various cultures have a record of those interactions. And that's why you see many parallels. And we see it's a human tendency to try to worship these different empowered beings. It's very natural. But when we understand Krishna, we understand the divine structure of the universe, which is what's being highlighted in this section of the Bhagavatam, then things can become clear what to do and what not to do, where to focus our energy, how to employ this urge to serve a higher power, how to recognize that highest power and how to do it properly. That's where the Bhagavatam helps us understand. See, so to conclude, how can we practically acknowledge and understand and apply? The demigods are not supreme. They serve the supreme. The ultimate authority is Krishna, the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that worshippers of demigods attain temporary results. And the true goal is, if for some reason in our family tradition or culture, we are somewhat doing demigod worship, we have to transcend that demigod worship, move higher while acknowledging that they're there and that they're powerful, and directly worship Krishna. So in today's two verses, the take-home points, we recognize the divine structure in the universe. the design is impeccable, brilliant, genius design, all the way down to microscopic level, how the digestive process works and breaks down the vegetables and so on. And all the way up to the cosmos of how the universes expand and creation takes place. And everything in between is so minutely and beautifully designed that shows the divine intelligence of Krishna. We respect the demigods for the position that they have been offered and that they're engaging in very diligently. We respect them, we bow down to them, we acknowledge their power. But our devotion is focused on Krishna. This will actually satisfy us, it will satisfy Krishna, and also satisfy the demigods. Occasionally the demigods get upset. Okay, what happened to Indra? Remember Indra? He said, you guys are supposed to worship me. Why are you worshiping Krishna? And so he was chastised. In that story, we learned, when Krishna lifts the Govardhan hill and Indra recognizes, oh my God, I made a big mistake by challenging the authority of my own master. And so occasionally that happens. Krishna kind of orchestrates such leelas to highlight the position of the demigods and his supreme power and majesty. So we do respect the demigods, but our devotion is reserved for Krishna. We understand that the demigods are empowered, but they're not independent. Even their own breathing depends on Krishna. Ultimate dependence is on Supreme Lord. And what are we going to pour our energy and time and effort and focus on? We strive for pure devotion rather than seeking material rewards, because that's what drives us to go to demigods. People don't go to demigods for pure devotion, generally speaking. Some people do, and that's very good. There are stories of devotees who approach Lord Shiva and says, my dear Lord Shiva, I don't know who to worship. I don't know what is the best thing to do. You please give me the best gift, what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know what to ask for. You tell me. And Lord Shiva has very kindly taken these devotees and taken them to Krishna. This is the Lord you should be worshiping, my son. This Krishna, because I'm worshiping him too. He's the Supreme Lord. Beyond him, there's no other cause. He's the cause of all causes. You will find ultimate ecstasy and satisfaction. He is the one you've been seeking. Don't run after material rewards. These are all temporary and useless anyway. Strive for pure devotion. Strive to reestablish yourself as eternal servant. That's who you are. And then you'll be happy. Krishna will be happy. I will be happy. The universe will be happy, and we benefit all around. How do we do that? Wherever we are, whoever we are, whichever country we are in, whatever language we speak, we can all come together and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and we'll get the ultimate benefit of the real purpose of creation, who is Krishna, the universal form. All that is contained within these holy names. And the ability to transcend this material world is contained within these holy names. All the 330 million demigods who are empowered, they are acknowledged, and they have given enough nutrition and nourishment and all our dues and payments. They're all contained within these holy names. There's nothing more to be done, nothing more to be had in the entire existence other than chanting Hare Krishna. And this is the verdict of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the verdict of Srila Prabhupada. This is the verdict of Lord Shri Krishna. And this is how we can find ultimate happiness. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any comments or questions, we can get into those right now. Maybe if I can find my Africa slideshow for my trip, I can share that as well. But in the meantime, we can have some discussion. See if we can find that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing this wisdom with us today. And dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations, reflections, you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and may be asked to unmute to speak or to share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Well, Prabhuji, you were beautifully explaining how Sri Krishna himself says in the scriptures that those who worship the demigods are actually worshiping him, Krishna, but they're doing it in the wrong way. Now, you also said that to most of us who have no Indian background, this demigod worship may not mean so much to us because most of us don't do it anyway. But I want to find out from you, me being an African and knowing that in Africa, there are quite a number of people who traditionally worship God in his universal form.
Universal form, yes.
So, does that constitute demigod worship? And if it does not constitute demigod worship, do they derive the same benefit as someone worshiping the 200 form Krishna?
It's a very good question. The universal form of worshiping, say, sometimes we worship in African traditional religions. I've seen, we worship different elements, like the mountain is worshipped, and sometimes the land is worshipped, or river, and so on. It's very similar to universal form worship, very similar to similar kind of worship you see in India also among universal form worshippers. Sometimes a person is attributed to that particular mountain. So then that turns into demigod worship, you see. Now, demigod worship and universal form worship are almost similar. One is a little bit more personalized, and one is more objectified. But generally, it is worship of the material elements. However, all this worship is somewhat beneficial. It's better, way better than being an atheist, for example. It's way better than that. Because one, you acknowledge the higher power. And even Krishna says in the Gita, I fix his faith. There's that one verse, he says, I fix his faith in a particular demigod. If it was a bad thing, why would Krishna fix his faith? Relative to Krishna Bhakti, it is a bad thing. But relative to being antithetical to God or to higher power, it is a good thing, because now you're acknowledging. It's like Krishna says, those are more of goodness that worship demigods. So the worship, or what does worship mean? Worship means you focus your concentration, your consciousness, and you glorify a particular thing, a particular person. It could be another human being, it could be ghosts, it could be demigods. And you become more like them by that focus. If you focus your energy on, say, a very strong bodybuilder, you put his poster in your house, you see what he's eating, you learn everything about him, and you start doing things that he's doing, you'll gradually become like him. You have a tendency to develop his qualities. Similarly, when we worship the higher people like Lord Shiva and so on, we develop certain qualities like devotion. And then, because Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee, those things rub off, and eventually, maybe after a few lifetimes or something, that credit of being connected to Krishna's system gets to you. But because it's so gradual and eventual, the guarantee is very low in those, you see. So whether it is a traditional African religion which expresses devotion to the higher powers, to worshipping mountains and so on, or whether it is an Indian-based religion, or whether it is a Greek demigods or Egyptian demigods, they have some value. But for one who is striving for highest, it will not give you the highest. But it's not the same as worshipping 200 form of Krishna. Definitely not. But that we know very clearly. Krishna says you'll only go that far. So that is very clear. However, if in the heart there's some sincerity that I want to know more, I want to find the ultimate God, even as I'm worshiping you, my dear mountain God, please help me understand what is everything. Then by the mercy of Krishna that flows through all these empowered agents, that desire is recognized, you see. And you get a lot of credit because you are respecting a higher power. That in itself is big, you see. It has value. Anything positive, anything good that we do, which moves upwards, has value. And Krishna notes those things. And if there's any inkling at all of finding the root of everything, Krishna will fan that spark and he'll arrange for you to get Krishna. That's why I know so many devotees who came through those channels that I used to worship. I myself came through a channel like that, by the way. I was worshiping Lord Shiva. I was a little kid, but I used to pray to Lord Shiva, my Lord, you give me what's the best thing. And I know for a fact Lord Shiva made arrangements, all kinds of unusual arrangements for me to come into contact with Krishna consciousness. So I can see in my own life, I have seen in many other people's lives. So Krishna looks for that spark, and he finds it. Sometimes the spark is even found in atheistic person, but generally it's found more in those who have respect for higher power. And that's the bottom line, you know. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anyone else with something to ask or share, please? Otherwise, I have a second question, Prabhuji. That is, you did mention about these 33 million demigods. And we understand that these demigods, they are universal material administrators. And in my own little mind, I am thinking that an administrator will obviously have somebody serving him. So we often talk about these 33 million demigods. And I am believing that all these 33 million demigods would also have servants, or they will have beings living on their planets. So if they are living on their planets, if there are other living entities living on the planets of these demigods, and I'm presuming that all these 33 million demigods, they don't all live on one planet together. They all have their different planets.
Many of them have their own planets. That's correct.
Okay, so they would certainly have
servants, assistants.
Yes. So does that mean that someone living on this earth planet, worshiping a particular demigod, after death may go to that planet, and then if that individual goes to that planet, does that individual automatically comes back to this earth planet, or there is a possibility of that individual making further progress towards the spiritual world?
It's a good question. We find hints about this in the Bhagavatam. Some clear, I'll give you an example. The example is of Yamaraj. Yamaraj is his own planet, Yamaloka, where he judges the different souls. And he has his servants, the Yamadutas, very ghastly looking creatures. These are his assistants. He has many of them. And they operate everywhere. They operate here as well. They come and operate. When it's time for someone to die, a sinful man, they come for him. We see the story of Ajamil very clearly, how these people are described. And these folks, the Yamadutas, when they had the argument with the Vishnu Dutas, first of all, they were shocked. Who are you? I've never seen such beautiful things, creatures before. Such amazing looking Vishnu. What is it, Vishnu Dutas? He'd never seen them before. And then when they were refused, you cannot take Ajamil because he chanted Narayan. They were confused. They went back to Yamaraj and said, hey, I thought you were the main boss. I thought you were the one who called the shots. You told us to fetch this fellow Ajamil. We went to fetch him. And then all of a sudden we have these very powerful beings. They're more powerful than us. They told us, no, go back home. I thought you were the main boss. And Yamaraj said, no, I'm not the main boss. Krishna is the main boss. You should understand. So now what happens to these Yamadutas? Because everyone is an individual, see, Yamaraj is also one of the 12 Mahajans. He's also a great devotee. So he had an exchange with the Yamadutas as well. He tells them, Krishna is the main one. So it is quite obvious and evident that some of the Yamadutas will be enlightened by that and become devotees. And from that point, they can also go back to Godhead from that planet. It is not necessary that they come down here. Prabhupada also explains, you know how we have the 7 planets above and 7 planets below. So among the 7 planets, there's Mahalok, Siddhalok, Tapalok, Janalok. Among those top 3 or 4 planets, people can go straight back to Godhead from those. They don't have to come back down. But anything lower than that, like the Indralok type planets, where the goal is just to enjoy very delightful things, go for a nice vacation, all those guys come back here. Because they're just going there to kind of cash in the credits that they've earned by doing pious deeds on this planet. So they are not going there to go further up, because nobody there is planning to go further up. You see, it's like you go to Hawaii. Nobody in Hawaii who's going on vacation to Hawaii is planning that, from Hawaii they'll go back to Godhead, or from Hawaii that they will go further in their career. No, they're just going to spend their money. Then they come back to further their career. They have to come back to the city over here to work. You see. And they can't work over there to further the career. So if we want to develop a spiritual career, a spiritual upward mobility, that's not the place to do it, because things are just too nice, materially speaking. Just everything is too flashy. It's like going to Las Vegas. It's very hard to practice devotional service over there if you're weak. Everything is very flashy and in your face. So in those planets, people have to come back. But in the other planets where the tapasya and the siddhis and understanding and the higher, finer things in life, spirituality are emphasized, from there people do go back, you see. So it depends on the planet. It depends on a particular individual. Depends. So among those Yamadutas, it's possible some of the Yamadutas says, no, I'll hang out over here. I'll do a few more lifetimes of service to Yamaraj, then we'll see. And maybe some of them will be like, okay, so since you're a boss and you're also a guru, and you're telling us to worship Krishna, from now on, worship Krishna. That's it. And some of them will go back to Godhead. So there's an individuality there. But generally speaking, the earth plane is the most ideally suited, because it's not so much pain and not so much pleasure. It's like equally balanced. So you can, have a focus. If it's too much pleasure, you can't focus on Krishna. Too much pain also, you cannot focus on Krishna.
Well, thank you, Prabhuji. But the follow-up question to the answer to my question is, assuming the loving entity does not progress to the topmost 3 or 4 planets from where there is the possibility of moving forward towards the spiritual world, whether they go to these lower but higher planets just for sense gratification, and at the end of their time, they come back to this earth planet. Do they come back to this earth planet because they left from the earth planet to go to that place, therefore they have to come back? Or they could go to other planets after exhausting their time on such high planets? Because we understand from the Srimad Bhagavatam, same Srimad Bhagavatam, that like the Jambudvip has other planets that are also considered earthly planet.
Yes.
But not our earth planet with these 5, 6 continents we know of. So could it be that I am from this earth planet and I ascend to these lower, higher planets? I exhaust my time.
Yes.
Do I have to really come to this earth planet, or I could go to any of the other earthly planets considered to be within the Jambudvip?
It could be any. It could be any. That's the whole point. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that a yogi who didn't fully complete his yoga process, I send him to the higher planets for millions of years. Then he comes back to the earthly realm. So the earthly realm refers to a level. So you could be, and that level can have millions of earthly planets. So you can go to any one of those, depending on the particular configurations. That's not a problem. But he comes back here. But why was he there? Not everybody who was sent there really wanted to go there, by the way. Krishna says that here's a yoga brashta. Yoga brashta means one who's doing Krishna consciousness. Didn't quite make it. So you know what I'll do? I'll give you a break. You've been struggling very hard in the material world. You're doing a Kadashi, you're doing a fasting, but you're still a little attached. No problem. I will send you over there. Enjoy for 1,000,000 years. Now that 1,000,000 years will move very quickly because it's so nice. It seems like a weekend only. You see, so beautiful. And then you get a little break, relax. You come back and you start chanting again. You see, and I'll make sure you're born in a family that is a devotee or somewhat, right? Suchinam Shimatam Gehe, in a clean family, rich family, something. So you don't have to worry. And then from there, you continue from 3%, 4% where you left off. But if you do really good and you come this close to perfection, but you still didn't make it 100%, then forget the heavenly planet circle. Forget that. I'll send you directly to a family of very advanced devotees. And then he says, such a birth is very rare. In the purport to that verse, Prabhupada says, we were born in such a family. Normally, Prabhupada doesn't reveal much about himself, but in the purport to that verse, he talks about himself.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So yeah, this kind of systems, the different levels, it doesn't matter. It could be this earth, it could be separate earth, but those are not so relevant, but it comes to that level. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, because lots of devotees, I have questioned or heard them speak on this topic of the soul coming back to earth. They specifically direct to this 5 continents we have here, but as you explain, as I understand, it may be here, it may be any of the other earthly planets. So
yeah, it may be whatever room is available in the hotel, you go to that one.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I can share some pictures from.
Yes, please, you may.
Yeah, I'm going to share. Let's see, a portion of my screen, if that works. Okay, so this is. I'll just do real quick. This is the Radha Banki Bihari Temple in Nairobi, Kenya. Very beautiful. So this is where I first started my Krishna conscious journey back in the 90s, back in 91. I was growing up in Kenya. Then from here, so I gave a class in Bhagavatam straight from the airport. Oh, here, hold on, let me see. This is when I arrived at the airport. These wonderful devotees came to greet me. This is Govinda Prem Prabhu, and this is Kamita Prabhu. All these devotees are preaching. Then from there, we have a small ISKCON center outside Nairobi called the town of Juja. So I gave a little class over there. And so a lot of youth members are there. There's like college students, and it's a very nice program. So this is something they've just developed last couple of years ago. All these young devotees, they're listening. So it's quite nice. Then from there, we went on this Krishna Balaram farm. We have a Goshala and a farm. They're just not far from Nairobi. It's Krishna Balaram farm. I'm just feeding the little calves.
Hii ni shamba ya Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Balaram. Hii ngombe ni maridadi kabisa. Lakini nakula boyam.
It was a lot of fun. These cows are very beautiful. That's the farm there. Let's see. There's some of the fruits. This is a sitafal fruit, custard apple. Many cows, they give a lot of milk, and that milk goes to our temple in Nairobi. Make milk sweets and things like that. A lot of different events going on all the time. Different seminars and things like that. It's my friend Govinda Prem. This is his room in the temple. And then I gave a series of talks over there to the local devotees. Let's see. This is the teaching of Queen Kunti.
Kila mtu anataka amani, kila mtu anataka kurudi nyumbani, kila mtu anataka usalama, kila mtu anataka kulala na tabasamu.
Anyway, that was a little bit of Swahili as well as English talk. Then it was very nice to see where about 50 Catholic seminary students would come, and we spent like 3 hours with them explaining about Srila Prabhupada, explaining the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, how it compares with the Catholicism. And the professor of that seminary has been bringing these students every year, different batches for a couple of years now. So we have a good relationship with the Catholics there. And they're very happy to bring them here, and we give them prasadam. We did kirtan with them. It was very sweet. Then we went to the city of Eldoret. So I went from Nairobi to Eldoret, then Kisumu and Nakuru, and then one more trip to Mombasa. So the city of Eldoret is a city of champions. That's where all the world-class runners come from. So this is our little Eldoret Center. It's our devotee offering Aarti at the Eldoret Center. It's quite nice. And then we did a college program in Eldoret where we talked about how to connect with God and the importance of managing our time and giving up bad habits and things like that. Quite a few students came for that one. I think we must have had like 80 students. This is the talk we gave there. Let's see if this is.
What is the fear zone? It's the first day. To us,
You can see all the students there. It's quite a good crowd.
First of all, it's hard enough.
Then we went to some other like outreach to the disabled children's school where there's a lot of donations that we're given, sugar and rice and things like that to help them out. So we participate in some of these. Then Eldoret in the evenings, we did a seminar on teachings of Bhishma Dev from the Bhagavatam. So we did that. And from there, we went from Eldoret to Kisumu. Kisumu is by the lake, Lake Sangha or Lake Victoria. Some nice farms on the way to Kisumu. And this is on the lake. We went on the boat, Lake Victoria boat ride. Our Kisumu temple is very beautiful. This is just outside the Kisumu temple. And of course, at that time was Damodarashtakam at the Kisumu temple. So we have a nice temple there. We did some Damodar Leela Katha over there. This was in Gujarati, my mother tongue. And then from Kisumu, we went to Nakuru. Nakuru is Africa's fastest growing town. We have a very nice center temple going over there. Some devotees living in the ashram. They're chanting very nicely. This is our morning program, Japa time chanting in Nakuru. So there's a lot of vibrant preaching going on there. We also had a very big Nakuru Jagannath festival there. This is Mansi Ganga Mataji. She is the devotee who used to preach to me when I was little. She's still very active and preaching solidly. She's more than 80 years old, 80 something, but she's taking a leading role. She's the president of Nakuru Temple and just very vibrant. These are the kirtan we did at the Nakuru festival. Very beautifully done by African and Indian devotees. So yeah, it was a very fulfilling trip. I gave a class at Sunday Feast there. Back to Nairobi. Their sweet shop in Nairobi is really good. They make, a couple $1,000s a day in profit just from the sweets. Then from Nairobi, we went to Mombasa. Look at this temple in Mombasa. It's so beautiful, just by the ocean, not far from the beach, just across from the beach, really. Just a gorgeous temple with a big guest house. It's ISKCON Mombasa. It's a Mangalarti at ISKCON Mombasa. We have Rukmini Dwarkadish and Sitaram. It's just by the ocean on the beach. I went for sunrise japa walk over there. So yeah, it was a very eye-opening trip. I went after 28 years back to Africa. So things have changed a lot. Things have improved a lot. It was really, really nice. So I thought I'll share with our devotees here ISKCON Africa. So it's valuable. A lot of progress happening. I'm looking forward to going again. Hopefully this year. We'll see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wow, Prabhuji, thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's so encouraging to see lots of preaching activities going on, especially in Africa. Africans by nature are very religious, godly people.
Yeah.
So we have an opportunity to expand Krishna consciousness in Africa. So thank you for sharing this transcendental trip with us. And what I personally consider to be the most awe-inspiring of what you just shared with us was in one clip you showed some food item donations you gave to one home. I think this is something that is very, very crucial and important, which devotees oftentimes ignore.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important when society understands that these people are spiritual people, but they also care for the body and the mind of the people. I think that alone can help us touch other souls to become favorable to us. So thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for including.
I think Govinda Prabhu has something to share. Govinda Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Prabhu, my obeisances to you, all glories to you, all glories to you, and all glories to you. And all glories to your service to Srila Prabhupada. New Jersey Temple Key, Jai.
Jai.
Prabhu, thank you very much for your presentation. So nice. And my question, I have two questions. The first question will be, what do you think? What do you think that the devotees should do in order for the yatra to grow? And what kills the spirit of growth in a particular yatra? Because the understanding is that the spiritual life is never stagnant. And if you see any sort of stagnation, it means there's something that we have to do and we are not doing. And as a result to that is that of the ungrowth experience that some yatras are experiencing as I'm speaking. So I would like you to throw more light or to share your experience and give your encouragement and things to do and things that if we are not doing, then automatically we should expect such shortages of growth.
Yes.
And that would be the question number one. If you take this one first.
Sure. I'll do that first.
Thank you.
Yes. What is it that slows down the growth of our yatras, whether it's a small preaching center or a massive big temple? What is it that can completely damage our growth, maybe even reduce our, maybe even bring to an end our efforts? And we have seen these things happen. We have seen certain yatras ultimately collapsing and failing. And Srila Prabhupada, it happened in Srila Prabhupada's presence, and he would say, he would give different suggestions of, or even saying what is causing these. And he would say that the leaders should be very careful to not kill the spirit of volunteers and enthusiasm that the devotees bring. If anybody comes with even some little spark of enthusiastic service, the leader should be very careful to keep fanning that spark and give encouragement, while also making sure that those devotees don't cause damage. So that's also important. If some devotees are causing damage, you have to find ways to protect it, the organization and the yatra. So it's a balance on both sides. Most of us who come, pretty much everybody who comes from a conditioned material background, we come with limitations. We may not know how to behave properly. We may not know how to do things right, but we come with an intention to learn more about Krishna, to become Krishna consciousness. So the leaders have to be very refined in understanding what are the various limitations and what are some of the dangers of just opening up to everyone. You know, even in the early days when Prabhupada would open up, sometimes some hippies would be quite crazy and they would do very crazy things. But then some devotees who came in the beginning, they did so much for Prabhupada, and he built this whole movement on their efforts and their sincerity. So Prabhupada, as a perfect leader, knew how to deal with various leaders, knew how to deal with various devotees and people who wanted to become devotees. So what is this bottom line? The bottom line is that we should know what is our product. If we are a company, we're selling a product, And people come and stand long lines for our product. We should know our product. What is our product? In the Krishna consciousness movement, our key flagship product is love and encouragement. That is what people are coming for. They may not know it. It has to be an environment where there's so much love and genuine encouragement available. They will not find that level of love and encouragement outside. That is our key product. And in that saturated environment of love and encouragement, they can hear and connect with Krishna. If the level of love and encouragement goes down, where now you can find more outside than inside, then they will leave. You see. So we have to make sure that the devotees are getting enough care. What does that love and encouragement mean? It means to show that I genuinely care for you. Our behavior has to be top-notch. You know. How do we differentiate between Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam Adhikaris? How do we know which one is which? Based on how they interact with other people. Kanishta accepts this God, but he doesn't treat devotees nicely. He doesn't see the super soul in their heart, so he doesn't treat them nicely. He doesn't know how to talk properly. He doesn't know how to behave. He'll be gossiping. He'll be backbiting. He will be bringing people down. He'll be rough. That is Kanishta. Madhyama is perfect gentleman, always finding ways to improve and encourage. And Uttama is just always giving so much love and care and compassion that people come from far and wide just to spend 1 minute with him. So these are the levels. But what the determining factor is how we behave with other people. So what brings down yatras? As is the leader, that way will be the followers. If the leader is harsh, immature, doesn't know how to treat people nicely, then the people underneath him also become gradually like that, or they will leave. Either they'll become like him or they will leave. Now, if the people under that leader develop some negative qualities, the leader has to make sure they don't do that. His sub-leaders don't, so he has to make sure that different volunteer leads and whatnot are also embodying the same spirit of love and care and encouragement. So that's why it's important we discuss this again and again and again. The devotee care initiatives have to be understood in a very heartfelt way, not a corporate kind of way. It has to be done. Love and trust, Prabhupada said, is what's going to make a movement forward. So the systems that are built around love and trust will work very well. That's what brings us up, and that's what's going to bring us down if we don't have it. So everything else is just details after that, small details. Govinda Prabhu, I hope that helps, Prabhu. I mean, it's a big question, but it's hard to answer that.
Heart and trust and giving love to devotees. Giving love means we must have the love ourselves.
Yes.
Because we cannot give what we don't have.
What you don't have, exactly.
And how do we develop this love for ourselves? Because, like I said, to give something means you must have it.
Yes.
If you don't have it, automatically you're not going to be able to give anything.
Yes.
And you've been practicing this chanting and following regulatory principles and other stuff. So, as such, what else? What are the ingredients again that constitute this love? Because, yes, naturally we are supposed to be love givers. And so if you don't have this love, then you cannot attract anything.
Yes.
So how do we develop this?
Yes, very good question. Very good question. Now, remember, our goal is to develop love of God, isn't it? Love of Krishna Prema. So that is love. Now, the fact that our goal is we want to develop love for God means we don't have it right now. That's our goal. Because the goal is that we've not reached it. Means I want to develop love. Now, we may not have access to love because love is like so far away. But we have access to other things that are easily available. They're called love adjacent or close to love. They are stepping stones that will take us to love. What are those love adjacent components? Things like appreciation. I may not love you, but I appreciate what you do. Gratitude. I may not love you, but I'm thanking you for what you did for me this afternoon. I'm going to thank you. So gratitude is easy. Love may not be available, but if I do enough appreciation and gratitude, So appreciation, gratitude, reciprocation, and service. If those 4 things I do, even if I don't have love, if I keep doing them with a sincere purpose to develop love, that love will become manifest. Then when it's manifest, then we can give it to others. But these subcomponents are available to us. We can start doing now, even mechanically. Even mechanically. Appreciate. Take out time to appreciate everybody. Even if you don't like certain things about them, try to minimize what we don't like. Try to maximize what the good qualities are. And if certain conversations need to be had, you do them in private. So you glorify in public and you correct in private. You see, if you want to have a conversation that is a difference of opinion, you do that in private. Not that I'll find opportunity when there's 7 people, then I'll criticize him. You see, this is not good. So these are techniques Prabhupada taught. See, criticize in private, glorify in public. Now, if I glorify in private, oh, that day you did so nice, huh? Fantastic, you have so much talent, Prabhu. And I do it quietly when nobody's listening. He will not feel good. But if I did in front of 5 people, oh, Govinda Prabhu is here. The way he did that particular seva, unbelievable, unmatched. I have learned so much, I'm inspired. You do that in front of 5 people, then Govinda Prabhu will be like, yeah, this is the way to do it. I appreciate even more. So these are certain techniques that we may not have love, but we can at least learn the techniques that will develop love. What is that? Appreciation, gratitude, reciprocation, and there's another one I said anyway. Yeah, so those kind of things, if we do them more and more. Service, yes, service. So you reciprocate, you do service, then you'll develop love. These things we can do. That's why we have a society to practice these things. But if we have an undercurrent of love and trust, then the love can grow and become into something pure. And Krishna will bless our efforts. Krishna bless from above. He'll do everything. Yeah.
Well, Prabhuji, thank you so much. I have a couple of remarks. One is, as you beautifully shared, if the manager, if the leader has love, then he's more likely going to keep people with him to serve Guru and Krishna. If the leader is bad, 2 things happen. Either the people leave or the people stay. And when they stay, they become like him. And I do not know whether Krishna will answer my prayer. But my prayer will be that if we have such terrible leaders, then the people should better leave than to stay. Because if they stay, they're going to be like him, and which means now we have many, many bad apples. One other comment I want to share is that, yes, it's so beautiful that we glorify people in public. And if we have to reprimand people, we do that in privacy. But I think that because we live in a world of relativity, sometimes what is being done in privacy to keep sanity, if it does not go well, then it has to come to the public. And I believe...
If you do that first, if it doesn't work, then it has to come to public. Totally.
Okay. So if you...
I agree
to that, then I think I'm okay with that, because it's good to say common sense should tell us all that if nobody wants to be reprimanded in public, so if there should be any such thing, it should be in private. But if after several attempts the person is not heeding, then you have to let the world know.
Then you have to escalate and do the right thing.
Yes. Okay.
That's what I mean. It's a general principle. You got to do you're in the proper order. You don't start with the last resort.
Yes. Thank you. I think we have His Grace Srimad Prabhu's hand up. Srimad Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, please accept our obeisance. All
Hare
glories to
Krishna,
Srila
Prabhu.
Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again for the nice presentation. And I want to thank Govinda Prabhu for his question. This is a very deep question, like you rightly said, Prabhu, that may be very difficult to answer. But you did a lot of justice to the question. And I thank you for all the nice and beautiful points you made. Just one comment, maybe before I would probably, if I have a question, but one comment. Sorry, Prabhu, no, you mentioned that if somebody, a leader, has certain negative qualities, then the followers may take after him.
Yes, they may, yes.
Yeah. Are you still there, Shimabara Prabhu? We're listening. I think he got it
I
disconnected.
wonder if we lost him. Yes.
But
Oh, no, continue.
people, am I audible?
We lost you for a couple of seconds, so if you may repeat what you were saying.
Okay. Is the light here? It goes on. Okay. So so I said that I learned something, which I want to say supplementary, not different, but it's supplementary to what Prabhu said. That if a leader is bad, people don't stay. If a king is bad in a town, in a community, the people will leave. They run away. And if the people are bad, the king is good, the leader is good, but the people are bad, their visitors don't come. When visitors come, they meet the people first. They don't meet the king. So if the people are bad, the visitors won't come there. If the king is bad, people leave. People won't stay. So it should also help us to understand that if people stay around enough, that means the king or the leader is not that bad. Because not everyone wants to copy bad thing anyway. But if people are still staying around him, that is not so bad. It's tolerable. But if the people themselves are bad, then no new person will join. No visitors will come. Gradually, it will be them alone. So
Yes.
this is something else I learned
Yeah.
also about, this. Yeah.
That's a good observation. It's also, now sometimes when you talk about good and bad, it's not like black and white or 0 or 1. It's not like that.
Right.
It's a sliding scale. Some leaders, and no leader is perfect. No leader is 100% good. No leader is 100% bad. So it's a sliding scale. Now sometimes, typically when the leader is very good, the people also are good. They will become good eventually by the influence of the leader.
Yeah.
You see, they will become good. So when the leader is good, the people cannot be bad, because those who are just adamantly bad, they will leave. They don't like good leaders. And those who are good, or those are medium, they'll become good because of the influence of the leader. You see, so the leader does lead. And a good leader can lead any kind. There's a saying in Hindi that a lion can successfully lead a whole army of jackals, but a jackal leader cannot lead an army of lions. You see, so if you have a very good leader, then even if the people are medium or mediocre, they can succeed and they will win because the leader guides them properly. And they win in their projects, they win in becoming better themselves. Eventually, even the visitors will start liking them. Maybe first few weeks, they don't like them, but later on, the visitors also like, the leader is good, and these people are learning from this guy is good. Eventually, they'll see the people are becoming good. And I will also become good if I become part of this lion movement. But if the head is a jackal, and even if the people are lions, they'll become a useless organization. See? So that's important.
Thank you so much. Shimabara Prabhu, I think you may unmute. I think you said you had something to say.
Yes. So just to remind us some of the points Prabhu made, how to cultivate love, appreciation,
Gratitude.
Reciprocation, gratitude, and service.
Yes. We can start doing those anytime. No one will say no.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Acharya Prabhu. Gail, I was going to call you out and you raised up your hand. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gail. Hare Bol. Gail is my mother. Hare Krishna. My obeisance is to my mother.
Hare Krishna.
Please unmute yourself, Gail Mataji.
Yes, please.
Oh my God. What kind of thing have you done to me today, Madame Prabhu? Okay. Yeah, a couple things. One is I guess I'm just trying to tease apart for myself these two words, appreciation and gratitude. I'm thinking out loud, thinking that maybe appreciation is, to recognize the value of something, and then maybe gratitude is when you express that.
That's right.
Or what would you say?
Sure. It's a subtle difference. See, I can appreciate you, Gail Mataji, in front of other people. Like Gail Mataji has a lot of depth of understanding. She asks very good questions, and she never grows old. She must have a spiritual body because I don't know.
I'm sorry, I asked.
Whatever. I mean, I'm appreciating you with other people. But when I come to you, Gail Mataji, and said, Gail Mataji, what you have done for me, the way inspired my life, and you've transformed my life, I can never repay you back. I'm so thankful to you. That's called gratitude. You see, when I'm expressing thanks to you, there's gratitude. When I'm expressing that, you have great qualities, that's appreciation. But the word for gratitude in Nectar of Devotion is called Kritagya. That is the quality of Krishna also. He's grateful. Kritagya. Kritagya means he is cognizant of what somebody did for them. I'm grateful for what you did for me. Now, you may not have done anything for me, but you have good qualities and I'm appreciating. That's a whole different thing, you see. So Kritagya means you did this for me. I thank you for it. It's a very specific kind of appreciation. It's a little deeper.
Yeah, it seems to be a focus. The gratitude seems to be more focused on how your qualities has actually benefited me.
Exactly. What you may have done something for me. Yeah. That's why it's called Kritagya. Krita means to do something. Gya means know. I know what you did for me.
Okay. And thank you. The other thing I had was, Govinda asked about, or he mentioned that, if you don't have love, you can't give. You can't give what you don't have. So I'm wondering what you would say in this connection about self-love, because I would think that if you're able to appreciate yourself, which I think many devotees are want to do because it doesn't feel like maybe like such a humble thing, but I feel like if you have enough self-love to appreciate what's good, if you're able to recognize what good qualities you have yourself, then you might be more easily disposed to appreciating good qualities in others. So I'm calling this self-love and suggesting that maybe if we encouraged more self-love, we would be better able to love others, express gratitude for others, appreciate others more. So just looking for your feedback here.
Sure. So this whole idea of self-love and self-appreciation is very good. It's very needed. It's very necessary. We need to have a sense of self-respect. We need to have a sense of self-dignity. We need to have, and a lot of that points to our appreciation for Krishna. We can appreciate, my Lord, I'm your child. You've given me these abilities. I probably may or may not deserve them, but you've given me these abilities. I want to thank you for that. And they're my abilities, but actually they're yours. You said you're the ability in man. So the fact that I can lift 200 pounds in one go and load this truck for service to your temple, this is your gift, my Lord. So I thank you for that, and I'll use it in your service. Now, self-love in sense of appreciation, you're reflecting, you're directing that to the Lord. You see, you're not saying, it is me only, look at me, it's because of me. Then it's not good. Then it turns into narcissism. So we don't encourage a narcissist to be more narcissistic in the name of self-love. We want the focus to be Krishna. And so that's why it can get tricky, where then a person who's already too full of hubris and full of himself and doesn't have many humble qualities, that doesn't help to do quote unquote self-love. It's just inflate the ego unnecessarily. So you have to be careful what you apply, how you apply self-love. You see, if you want to give encouragement, like Hanuman was just sitting in the corner and they're trying to figure out how to cross over the ocean to go to Lanka. And Jambavan was saying, I can jump over, but I can't jump back. I'm pretty old. And other monkeys can say, I can only jump half the way. And Hanuman just sitting quietly. And then Jambavan looked at him and said, Hanuman, you have the ability to jump across and also come back, no problem. Hanuman's like, really? Yeah. Don't you remember? You're given these benedictions when you're a young boy and this and that. Wow. So there is encouragement to bring out the best in someone else, knowing their abilities. Hanuman is a humble devotee. So similarly, we can give encouragement, we can give love and appreciation to others, we can give self-love to ourselves, appreciating, but we have to be cognizant of our abilities. We have to also not go down the road of delusion. What is delusion? Delusion means to think you're way greater than you actually are. You think your abilities are way more than they actually are. And then you walk around strutting as if, everybody should bow down to you. So those things have to be balanced and kept in mind in our behavior and how we project ourselves and so on.
So it seems like, a person can be kind of safe with the self-love thing if they just always remember that whatever good qualities they do have don't originate with him, right? That they originate, that they're
from Krishna. Yeah, my knowledge came from my guru. I owe my guru everything. My abilities come from Krishna. We give credit where it's due.
Yeah, and I'm also making a point that we don't have to, out of a kind of artificial humility, deny the good qualities that we do have, because we're not seeing it as independently ours or separated from Krishna.
Yeah, it's tricky in this world because what happens, right? Suppose Gail, you discover that you're a really good orator and you become a very famous speaker very quickly, right? And you're using Krishna service and you're full of humility and everything, but you're using Krishna service, you become famous. You will find there are people who criticize you. Who do you think you are, Gail? Just a couple of people clap their hands means now you're going to sign up for all these speaking engagements. You're being so proud and you're not that great, Gail. And you'll see those kind of comments too. It's true. It happens if you're very successful. When Prabhupada was so successful, some of his envious godbrothers, they said bad things about him. Yeah, he's not even a proper sannyasi. He crossed the 7 oceans, or he's not so great because he didn't really spend as much time with Guru Maharaj as we did. He doesn't know as many scriptures as we do. Anybody could have done what he did. And if I'd gone, I would have been more successful than him. I just chose to stay here. They were envious of him. So those envious elements are also there. So that's why, Gail, the point you made is very good. Just because we have the ability shouldn't mean we should shy back from them in the name of false humility. Use them in Krishna's service. If you can lift 100 pounds, then don't settle for 5 or 10 pounds. Lift 100 pounds and load the truck for Krishna. Why pretend to not have the ability? Use it in Krishna's service. Prabhupada will appreciate it. Of course, we don't boast about it. Don't make a big stink about it or something. But when the opportunity comes, use it in Krishna's service.
And then also, if those envious people do attack you, like how you were just suggesting, those attacks will only pinch you if you have forgotten where you got your talent.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's not going to bother you.
No, exactly. It shouldn't bother because there are successful leaders in this movement who are very humble. And there's always envious people who are attacking them. I've seen it myself, People attacked so many great devotees in our movement.
Which
But
is probably a symptom of their greatness. Otherwise, they wouldn't be.
yeah, no, it is a symptom of their greatness, and they keep succeeding. They don't bother with these petty attacks, but they'll come. But these leaders, they don't take them so seriously, and in the name of false humility, stop doing what they're doing. They push on Prabhupada's movement. You should see how Prabhupada carried himself. He held his head up high, walking with his cane, and he would talk like this. Some people say that's not a very humble stance. You should be bent over like this. No. You think Prabhupada's not humble? No, he was very humble. But when it's time to roar and speak, he roared and spoke.
Yeah, like Arjuna, he fought like crazy, but it was out of humility.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dear devotees, I would like to remind you all that our revered speaker for today, His Grace Madana-gopāla Prabhu, is one of our precious initiating gurus in our precious organization. And Prabhuji, we can't thank you enough for being with us today. And it is our humblest but strongest prayer that your project comes to fruition sooner than later. Sometime we hope that it could come to completion sometime this year. And to those of you who may not know, Prabhu has tackled a very huge project in New Jersey. Prabhuji, I think, showed some slides of the project some time ago when he was here. And it's a very huge project. And Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada is already so happy with you and your team. And one thing I would like to say, though, is that I'm nobody, but I strongly believe that, yes, one cannot give what he does not have, but it does not always apply to be the truth, in the sense that I may go to the bank and then request for $300,000 loan. The bank teller could give me that $300,000. But the banker, the teller, probably does not have $2,000. And so I may not have love of God, but because I am connected to someone who has love of God, Srila Prabhupada, I do not have any knowledge about Krishna. But if I simply repeat what Srila Prabhupada has said, I become knowledgeable, as people will see that this person is wise. I'm not wise in myself, but because I am trying to repeat what the knower, Srila Prabhupada, has said, that's how I also become somebody. And so I think that the word attitude, as I learned, is like the only English word that sums up to 100%. If you add up all the letters, ATTITUDE, it adds up to 100. If we have the right attitude that even though I'm not qualified, but this is what my guru has asked me to do, and I do it with all eagerness, then something good may happen. And when something good happens, it's to the credit of the guru. But the problem I find, probably just myself, is that our integrity to appreciating the guru is either dwindling or is dead completely. We don't care much about the guru. We care much about what we want to do. And I think that is the problem. But Prabhuji, personally, I cannot thank you enough for the depth of wisdom and love you've poured out with us today, poured out to us today. And we can only pray and hope that we can have more of your associations in the coming days and years. And with that, Prabhuji, if you may have some concluding words, concluding statements to share with us, you may do that, and then we'll bring this to a close. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Before
Obeisances to all of you.
Before then, please. Before
Okay.
then, I did not complete my statement before Mother Gail came in.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So I have something that is actually intriguing in my mind, and that is the fact that Prabhu, you said that our product is love and encouragement. That is true. However, quite often, we also hear that spiritual life is individual. And when you come to think of it, that spiritual life is individual, and even though we are supposed to be our brother's keeper, but not to the point whereby you will lose your own devotion. So I would say that the bhakti process, even though it is about love, but the scripture actually said that devotees can appear to be callous also. Because sometimes, like you rightly said, when we talk about bad and good, these things are very relative. So most people who survive on the path of bhakti seem to be those who care so much for their own devotional keeper. Those who want to sacrifice a lot for others, most often they are seen or perceived as threats, because people have their own, embedded ideas of somebody wants to overshadow us, somebody wants to overshine us, somebody wants to take our position. So if you seem to be sacrificing or thinking so much about the good of her, you become the bad guy. So eventually you become callous. Eventually you think, well, spiritual life is individual. So let me just, take care of my devotional life. So this happens a lot. And I'm just trying to take a whole overview of our Krishna consciousness movement, vis-a-vis what we hear often as preaching. I mean, like one would say, if you hear this kind of classes or talks on Bhagavatam every now and then, why is our society the way it is today? So I'm also reflecting on the other side. The other side is the fact that devotional life, spiritual life is individual, and most often those who succeed spiritually, they can be callous because they try to mind their own business. And in that way, they avoid, persecution. They avoid getting into, people's how do you say, circle of influence or people's whatever. So that's just what I want to say. And what do you say about this? So, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. So you mentioned many points, Prabhu. I'll highlight a couple of them. I think it's important for us to recognize this. Yes, spiritual life is individual. Prabhupada gives the analogy, we all have to fly our plane. That means there's nobody else in the plane except us. There's nobody sitting next to us when it's time to take the flight. What is that flight? That flight is the time of death. That is the flight. Our death is the flight. Now he extends the analogy. Prabhupada says, but before the flights take off, we help each other understand how the plane works. We give full support. So yes, we have to fly our own plane. But before it's time for the flight, we give each other full support. Completely. We become close to each other. If someone is struggling with the flight manual, you tell them how to hold it properly. Oh, but my eyes are not working properly. Okay, I'll read for you. Vaishnava is called Paradukha Dukhi. Paradukha Dukhi means he feels the pain of somebody else. So a true devotee is never callous, never. You see, even like I mentioned earlier, even though he may be criticized for helping others, for maybe he's being too proud or whatever, who do you think he is helping others? He doesn't care his criticism. He helps out of the movement of his feeling the pain of somebody else. Paradukha Dukhi. You know, there are two kinds of devotees. One is called a Bhajan Anandi and a Goshti Anandi. Bhajan Anandi means just sits by himself in the forest or just alone, individual, like an individual. Bhajan, he gets a lot of bliss, ananda from bhajan, from his own sadhana, just chanting Hare Krishna deeply, his own study, his own puja. He doesn't talk to anybody. It's called Bhajan Anandi. Day and night. Very deep, very advanced devotees, like the Babajis of the olden days. Then there's Goshti Anandi, who gets pleasure by associating, a lot of association. Goes out, talks to this one, talks to that one, does, makes deals and everything. But he's all Krishna conscious, but he's making networks, this and that. Very extroverted as Goshti Anandi. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati asked, which one should we be? Should we be Bhajan Anandi or Goshti Anandi? You know the answer he gave? He said, we should be Bhajan Anandis who preach. You see, Bhajan Anandi who preaches. That means all our ananda, all our bliss comes from within, from our individual practice. But our efforts are also directed to share with others, to alleviate their pain. That's called preaching. See, so we're not Goshti Anandis. We don't get pleasure by networking. We get pleasure by chanting within deeply. You see, that's how we get our pleasure. Our ananda comes from there. But we do not neglect the pain of others, because our softness of heart that comes from bhajan, it manifests in the form of giving Krishna to others. How can I be so selfish when my neighbor doesn't know about Krishna and he wants to know? I'm not going to force him, but if he's knocking on my door, please help me understand Krishna. Come. I'll spend a few hours with you. Come, invite your friends. We'll do kirtan together. Come, we'll have prasadam together. This is called Bhajan Anandi who preaches. So those two are not incompatible. They're not preclusive of each other. They're not mutually exclusive. Both are there. It's an individual process. You fly your own plane, but before the flight, you help as much as possible to others to make sure their flight is also successful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the beautiful answer. It's so beautiful. And dear devotees, Govinda, you have something to say? I'm not sure.
Govinda is driving right now.
He's driving, okay. So we would like to bring this to a final close. Prabhuji, what you just said, I tell you, in a humble manner, that I believe, because it's what I have observed, is that sometimes, okay, let me start it this way. Personally, this is my strategy to keep my devotional life alive, is that if something bad happens to me, I blame it on myself. If something good happens to me, I give the credit to devotees, Guru Krishna. But I believe that if someone is a leader and a devotee under his care or her care leaves, that leader should feel that he is the cause of losing that soul.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we have leaders who, when it does happen that somebody under their care leaves, they sometimes jubilate that you thought you could compete with me. You thought you could challenge me. They don't feel that they are the cause of losing that individual. They believe that that individual was disrespectful, was rude. And so with this attitude, it's going to be very difficult for us to grow. Well, I don't want to start another class, but this is my observation.
Yeah. No,
It's unfortunate.
it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.